Human beings are capable of horrifying, spine-chilling deeds. We've all heard of the worst evils inflicted upon innocents, and every year a new case stuns us into silence, making us wonder if there's a line humans won't cross. In this series, we're going to look at disturbing real-life crimes. This is Cold-Blooded Crimes. Kristi Abrahams was born in 1983 near Sydney, Australia. She had a rough childhood because her father constantly abused her and her mother. According to Kristi, she had witnessed her father strangling and kicking her mother's head several times over the years. Once, he even broke her nose. Kristi was 10 years old when her mother passed away. Her father had no interest in raising her and her brother, so they were sent to foster homes and then to Aboriginal children's homes. Kristi had an IQ of 68 and was considered intellectually disabled. Psychologists recommended keeping her where she could get proper care, but she never received it. She stayed there until she was 16. At the age of 19, Kristi met Chris Whippet and got pregnant with his child after a few months. The pregnancy was unwanted, but Kristi didn't believe in abortion. She allegedly smoked and drank during the pregnancy. According to Chris, she also tried to punch her own belly to hurt the child, but there is no confirmed evidence to back this accusation up. What we do know is that during Kristi's stay in the hospital, she mistreated the nurses and was generally quite aggressive. On February 6th of 2003, she gave birth to her son Aidan. She neglected Aidan and underfed him most of the time. On the morning of March 23rd, Chris woke up and saw that the baby was lying face down, looking all blue. He ran to his mother to get help, but when they came back, Kristi was holding Aidan and screaming that he was dead. The police reported that the baby succumbed to sudden infant death syndrome, SIDS. From the beginning, their relationship was unstable. It was always on the decline. Kristi was abusive and she had anger issues. After one argument, she once tried to cut her wrist and stab Chris. When Chris's brother tried to intervene, she hurt him too. On the 22nd of April 2004, Kristi gave birth to Kiesha. This time, Chris made sure that the child was not being neglected. On the 4th of July 2005, Chris and Kristi had another extreme argument. The argument resulted in Kristi wanting to separate from Chris. On the same day, Kristi bit Kiesha on her shoulder. Chris immediately took her to Mount Druitt Hospital and reported Kristi to the police. Chris knew their relationship had hit rock bottom. After this incident, they ended their relationship. Kiesha's custody was given to Chris, but later, the Department of Community Services took Kiesha under their care. Kristi got into a new relationship with Robert Smith in 2006. They visited Kiesha together several times when she was under the care of the Department of Community Services, DOCS. They attempted to get custody of Kiesha. Despite her abusive past, the Department of Community Services returned her to Kristi on December 23rd of that year. 3 of them lived together in an apartment in Mount Druitt, West Sydney. She gave birth to 2 more children on 9th of February 2008 and 7th of July 2010 respectively. Kiesha used to sleep alone in one bedroom and the rest of the family in another. Kristi didn't like that Kiesha resembled her biological father. Throughout her childhood, Kristi constantly abused her. According to the locals, they had seen Kiesha with bruises most of the time, although Kristi barely let Kiesha go outside to prevent people from seeing the signs of abuse. Kiesha had also been to school for a total of just 4 days in 2 terms. When Kiesha was 3, a DOCS worker noticed cigarette burn marks on her. When they asked what happened, she answered, "Mum did that." The DOCS worker reported Kristi to the department, but they didn't take any serious action against her. On August 1st, Kristi called 000 to report that her child was missing. On the recorded call, she said, "Hi, I've just gotten up and went to the toilet and noticed that the front door is open and my daughter is not here." According to her, that night she went to sleep before 10. and that was when she saw Kiesha for the last time. Kiesha liked to play with the street cats, so Kristi guessed someone abducted her when she was outside doing just that. Police conducted a big-scale search operation, but they couldn't find her anywhere. They asked the locals, but no one knew anything. Kristi and Robert were the only ones that had seen Kiesha in the last 3 weeks before she went missing. Quickly, the news spread across the country. It was everywhere in the media, and the public was praying for Kiesha's well-being. Kristi requested everyone to tell the police if they have seen Kiesha anywhere. Some people showed sympathy towards her, while some claimed she hurt her daughter, to which she replied that what people are saying is disgusting and they need to stop judging her without knowing her. Based on what Kristi and Robert told the investigators, they narrowed it down to 3 possible explanations. First, someone broke into the house and took Kiesha. Second, she went outside and something happened, maybe an abduction. Or third, something happened to Kiesha under her parents' watch. The lock on the door wasn't something Kiesha could open by herself, and her bed seemed like no one had slept on it in a while. Things were not adding up. The investigators decided to look deeper into Robert and Kristi's activities. When they couldn't find Kiesha in the morning, Robert went to the local shopping centre, which was 2 kilometres away, to find Kiesha instead of trying to find her near where they lived. Meanwhile, the police suspected that Kristi and Robert were not telling them everything. Kristi also seemed annoyed and aggressive during her interrogations. Her behaviour was unusual for a mother that had just lost her child. Then the forensic department searched their home and discovered some disturbing clues. They found Kiesha's blood on various parts of the house, including her bedroom door. There was also teeth marks on her bed. The authorities were now certain that something happened to Kiesha while she was at home, but they had to wait a little longer to catch the real culprit. They started an undercover operation to get the truth. On 21st of April 2011, at around 9:30 p.m, the undercover officer managed to get the truth out of Kristi. Kristi thought he was going to help her cover things up, but she had no idea that her confession was being recorded. According to her confession, 2 weeks before reporting about Kiesha, she was in her bedroom. She gave a little nudge with the foot, and Kiesha fell and hit her head at the bottom of the bed and lost consciousness. When they put her in the shower to wake her up, she made weird noises. They cleaned her up and took her to bed. Kristi said Kiesha felt like jelly in her hands, but since Kiesha appeared to be breathing, and there were no signs of blood anywhere, Kristi thought Kiesha would be okay the next day. But when she woke up in the morning, Kiesha was no more. They put the body in a suitcase and kept it in Kiesha's room for 2 days before taking it into the bushlands to get rid of it. Robert dug a hole with a hammer and burnt the body there. Then he covered the hole with dirt and put branches over it. He also burnt the suitcase a few meters away from there to get rid of the evidence. After that night, Kristi never visited that place again, but Robert did to make sure everything was undiscovered. The undercover officer convinced them to take him to the place where they buried Kiesha. They were unaware that the team of investigators was following them. The investigators arrested Kristi and Robert on the spot. On 22nd of April, law enforcement dug up Kiesha's grave and recovered the remains of her body. The state of the body made it impossible to find the exact reason behind her death. Fractures on her teeth suggested that she might have suffered injuries to her head before death. She had several fractures, and many of them had not healed correctly, possibly due to not getting any treatment. During the autopsy, they examined the patterns of injuries to her teeth and jaw. They concluded that it occurred from her lower teeth being forced up against her upper teeth. Possible reasons behind this could be multiple upwards punches to her jaws. It was clear that Kiesha had suffered from abuse throughout her whole life. Kristi and Robert denied the claims and stated that the incident before her death was the only time they had hit her. The court sentenced Kristi Abrahams to 22 years and 6 months of prison, with a non-parole period of 16 years for causing Kiesha's death, and Robert Smith was sentenced to a maximum of 16 years with a non-parole period of 12 years, for helping Kristi and trying to hide the body and evidence. What happened to Kiesha was a result of abuse and systematic failure, which could have been prevented. What Kristi did to Kiesha was similar to what she had faced in her own childhood. The court took it into consideration before deciding the judgment. Kiesha's grave was later turned into a shrine and was visited by many who loved her. Don't forget to leave a like and subscribe for more videos like this one. Until next time.